Ladies and gentlemen, if you'll take your seats, then I'll start the more formal portion of the program. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Special guest, Wiesbaden Herren. On behalf of the Vice Commander, Communications Systems Center, and the Commander, 1836 Engineering Installation Group, I would like to welcome you to the deactivation ceremony for the 1836 Engineering Installation Group. I'm Captain Harry Opel, your narrator for today's ceremony. Before we begin, I would like to say a few words about etiquette for today's ceremony. I will be asking you to stand in just a few moments when our reviewing party enters the room. Please remain standing during the posting of the colors. The national anthems for Germany and the United States of America will then be played. I will then ask you to be seated. We have several segments in today's program. 2 retirements, Team Chief of the Year Award, Senior NCO of the Quarter, Air Force Outstanding Unit Award, and a special presentation by our German sister unit and Colonel Waddell prior to relinquishing command and retiring the group flag. I will ask you to stand a final time for the retiring of the colors as the ceremony concludes. Engineering and installation of all types of ground-based electronics in European theater has been and continues to be an ongoing requirement ever since World War II. This includes command and control, air traffic control and meteorological communications, computer, intelligence support, and weapons storage systems. The 1836 has accomplished this tasking since 1 April 1970. The activation of Detachment 1, 485th Engineering Installation Group tomorrow, Ramstein, continues that support for European warfighters. The methods and organization of this support continue to evolve. The 1836 traces its beginnings back to 1958 and the 2874th Ground Electronics Engineering Installation Agency, GEA, at Ramstein Air Base. Forms of the organization and even some of our current local national employees operated at Ramstein, Wiesbaden Air Base, and Lindsey Air Station in the intervening years, originally for Materiel Command and later Communications Command. In this sea of organizational changes, participation in thousands of high visibility and complex projects has been a constant. The inside cover of the program highlights some of the more notable projects. The results of our participation have been extremely fruitful to the customers we support, and the group and its people are no stranger to awards and decorations. You will witness the 1991 Air Force Outstanding Unit Award later today. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the Vice Commander, Communications Systems Center, Colonel Woodrow M. Taylor, and the reviewing party.
Orders on. Post. Forward, march.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, special guests, and dominant Heron. Thank you again for coming on this hot and steamy afternoon. This time it is my privilege to introduce our distinguished guest. Colonel Woodrow M. Taylor, Vice Commander at the Communications Systems Center, is our presiding official. Gator has amassed over 4,000 hours and flew 167 combat missions in Southeast Asia. Spent many years in Strategic Air Command for conversion to data and communications career field during his tour at Omaha. He had a tour at the Pentagon. He's been commander of the Command and Control Systems Center, Tinker, and he assumed his present position as Vice Commander in August 1991. He's married to the former Patricia Phelps of Windsor, North Carolina, and has 3 children. Also with us today are Colonel Donald E. Waddell III, the Lindsey Wing Commander, Colonel John J. Kotzen, Commander of the 485th Engineering Installation Group, and former commanders of the 1836th, Colonel Billy R. Gamble and Colonel Robert A. Ryman. We also have with us some very special guests from the Military Sub-Region Command, Unit 432, some of which will be joining us later. Hoffmann Eisen, Hauptfeldwebel Meiler, and Feldwebel Schlussner. Our first segment executes retirement for Chief Master Sergeant George G. Daly, Jr. and Staff Sergeant Emmett E. Brannon. Complete biographies are in your programs. You may remain seated during this portion of the presentation. Colonel Taylor, will you please come forward? Chief Holden will assist in the presentation. Chief Daly and Sergeant Brannon, front and center. Chief Daly retires today after a long and distinguished and very fruitful 31-plus year career. Marshall, Minnesota native. He came in the Air Force way back in 1961, just after the first of the year. As you can imagine, he's had quite a variety of assignments. He was at Kotzebue when that site was first installed in 1963 above the Arctic Circle. He was at Cam Bay in 1966 and 67. He was a LORAN site commander in several locations: Louisiana, Korea, Pelham Range, Alabama. In fact, he was involved in the initial deployment of tactical LORAN and took care of the last 2 sites on the range in Alabama. Spent 6 years at Headquarters TAC, been the Senior Enlisted Advisor for Airlift Communications Division at Scott, and later the Communications Systems Center, then it was Engineering Installations Division. He eventually arrived at Lindsey in 1989. He is married to the former Francis Daly of Camden, Alabama, who's with us today, and they have 1 son in the Marines at Beaufort Naval Air Station, South Carolina. Attention to order. Citation to accompany the award of the Meritorious Service Medal, 5th Oakley Cluster, George G. Daly, Jr. Chief Daly distinguished himself in the performance of outstanding service to the United States as the Chief Workload Control Branch, Installations Division, 1836th Engineering Installations Group, Lindsey Air Station, Germany, from 27 September 1989 to 30 September 1992. Chief Daly is a military professional who developed his people and functioned as a trusted advisor and technical innovator. He transitioned his unit's workload control function from a status board and acetate briefing data archive into a near real-time reporting center utilizing an interrelational database and an automated text and graphic system. He launched initiatives on fee-for-service, increased workforce productivity, and standardized project man-hour and cost estimation. Baseline organization, manpower, and personnel changes to simultaneously deactivate the 1836 Engineering Installation Group and activate Detachment 1 45th Engineering Installation Group. The The singularly distinctive accomplishments of Chief Daly culminate a long and distinguished career in the service of his country and reflect great credit upon himself and the United States Air Force. Prior to reading the official retirement order, I'd like to read you, very briefly, a letter from the Chief's Group at Randolph, sending congratulations on his retirement from the Air Force. In the words of Chief Nury, Chief of the Chief's Group, you must be and should be very proud of the many personal and professional contributions you've made towards getting the Air Force mission accomplished. He goes on to say, you may reminisce about the good old days and remember the friends made, jobs well done, personal, and professional satisfaction gained. Always remember that you also touched, motivated, influenced, and inspired countless others who also serve as professional airmen. It's a fact. That's what chiefs do. So, Mrs. Daly will come forward at this time. What we would like to do is present the retirement certificates to both Chief Daly and Mrs. Daly, because we know that you could have never made it without it. I will take the time to read the formal retirement order while Colonel Taylor presents the flag which has been flown over his home state. Special order AC 000548, dated 12 October 1991. Effective 30 September 1992, you, Chief Daly, are relieved from active duty. Organization and station of assignment. Retired effective 1 October 1992 by order of Secretary of the Air Force. Now the mic's on. We'll try it with a little PA. I'll have to remember not to shout so loudly. Maybe I can speak clearly. Now that ought to work for a transition to our next retiree, Staff Sergeant Emmett E. Brannon, who's a Savannah, Georgia native who entered only 20 short years ago. Started as a security policeman before becoming an antenna and construction installer. And his assignments have included 2 tours at MacDill, Republic of Korea, along with being assigned to Norton, Robbins, Eglin, Kadena, and finally Lindsey Air Station. He got around in 20 years. He also went to numerous deployments in the Philippines, Thailand, and South Vietnam. Attention to orders. This is a citation to accompany the award of the Meritorious Service Medal. Staff Sergeant Brannon, who distinguished himself in performance of outstanding service to the United States as electronics installation team member, Air National Guard liaison, non-commissioned officer, and workload controller, the 1836 Engineering Installation Group, Lindsey Air Station, Germany, from 24 January 1989 to 30 September 1992. Sergeant Brannon orchestrated 463 command and control communications, computer, and intelligence, installation, and maintenance projects throughout the European theater and kept them under positive control. We reduced the administrative requirements for urgent maintenance requests and eliminated 90% of the man-hours required to maintain workload documentation. He accomplished this by obtaining permission to delete the mandatory 6-part folders and instituted newly designed facility folders. This not only deleted the requirement for 256 manpower-intensive folders, but also provided the installation work centers, customers, and management an expedient means to review the history, current status, and projected future work on 37 different communications facilities. In May 1991, the Air Force Communications Command Inspector General noted his many accomplishments included concise project continuity folders, resolution of the Air National Guard training deployments, and the development of technical solutions to numerous antenna installation deficiencies. The singularly distinctive accomplishments of Sergeant Brannan culminate a distinguished career in the service of his country and reflect great credit upon himself and the United States Air Force. Over the years, we've received many letters and offers of congratulations from customers on Sergeant Brannan's accomplishments, but I won't read them here today. I'll simply read the special order under which he will retire. Special Order 000399, dated 12 October 1991. Effective 30 September 1992, you are relieved from active duty, organization, and station of assignment, retired, effective 1 October 1992, by order of the Secretary of the Air Force. Round of applause. But before he sits down, we need to present him the flag, which has also been flown over his home state.
Take a picture. Great.
Now we honor the 1991 AFCC Military and Civilian Team Chiefs of the Year. Technical Sergeant Daniel J. De Los Santos, Jr. won the military category, and Herr Wolfgang Koscher, one of our German employees, was the runner-up in the civilian category. Sergeant De Los Santos and Herr Koscher, please come forward, and the audience may remain seated. Team Chief of the Year Award is an annual worldwide Air Force Communications Command-wide competition that selects the very best in our business. They concentrate in several areas: quality of work, quantity of work, safety, leadership, not only on the job, but with the team, how the team is supported, and how the team members are developed. Training, adaptability, that's very important in our business. Customer relations and satisfaction, that's the punchline. Sergeant De Los Santos hails from Brady, Texas, and has spent his entire 10-year career in the engineering and installation business. This is his second time in the 1836. More than half his career has been with this unit, and he's married to his lovely wife, Roseanne, and they have 3 children. Herr Koscher is one of our more senior German employees. He has also been one of the very lucky ones to survive the reduction in force that's necessary when the group closed. We were extremely lucky to find his wife at home yesterday, and so he was recalled from where his new job is. He starts tomorrow. Next, we honor the Senior Senior Non-Commissioned Officer of the Quarter for Headquarters Communication Systems Center, Master Sergeant Terrence C. Beal. Sergeant Beal, please come forward. And again, the audience may remain seated. Sergeant Beal departs shortly for our sister unit, the 485th Engineering Installation Group at Griffiths. Now we have a very special portion of our program. Let me introduce the new speaker, Sergeant Kretzmeyer, who will take us through this portion of the ceremony. Lieutenant Colonel Baker, will you please come forward for presentation?
Ladies and gentlemen, female soldiers, I would like to say thanks that I'll be here today with some of my other friend units, and it's for me a great moment to see that the 1836 comes to the end. I mean, it's sad. That's more, you know. I would like to stay here forever. It was a nice time. Everything must end. I would say thank you for everything and for the good neighborhood memberships to everybody. Thank you.
Colonel Baker will receive a special presentation at this time.
German flag for like the end and the new again. I hope you find it nice guys somewhere.
Thank you.
Wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
It is with great honor. On behalf of all 1836 road warriors, I accept that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, Colonel Baker, we have a special presentation from Colonel Waddell, the Lindsey Wing Commander.
Earlier this month, I was pleased and privileged to speak to the last Commander's Call of the 1836. And at that time, I had an opportunity to present a couple of individual awards, but also to talk to the 1836 Road Warriors and express my appreciation for all they have done here at Lindsey to support the community. From hanging the lights at Christmas time from the tower, to working with our local schools, to providing members for our sports team, to decorating our trees with boots. A tradition I never fully understood, but when my boss came to visit, Colonel Baker personally got out there and removed all the boots. But the 1836 has been an essential component of the Wiesbaden community, and we appreciate it. As the installation commander here at Lindsey, I certainly appreciate it. Of course, the point man for all of that was Lieutenant Colonel Dave Baker, and having said thanks to the squadron, I'd like to say thanks to you, Dave, on behalf of the wing. And in recognition of that, we have a picture that we hand out, not to everyone. You can still be seated. I haven't finished yet. It's a picture of Lindsey taken back in 1912. It was on a postcard originally in 1915. And it shows a picture of Lindsey at that time, and you can see where we're sitting here in what's now the LASCOM. A few other buildings. Some of the buildings are no longer standing because they were bombed, and as a matter of fact, the supply parking lot's right here where this one building is. But we think this picture represents to us the history of Lindsey, arguably the oldest installation in the Air Force. We hope that this finds a place in your wall, and years hence you'll look back and you'll think of 1836, but you also remember some of the people at Wiesbaden and Lindsey who you and your organization served so well. So thank you very much, and we appreciate your service, Dave.
I forgot some. I have some little special surprise. for First Sergeant Holland, please.
Chief front and center.
Thank you for everything, for the good time, work together, and for your help. That's all right. That's all right. Thank you. That's all right.
Thank you again. The next portion of this exceedingly long program, the Air Force Outstanding Unit Award was established by the Secretary of the Air Force to recognize exceptionally meritorious service or exceptionally outstanding achievement that clearly sets the unit above and apart from similar units. Colonel Taylor has with him the 1991 award streamer for the 1836 flag. Colonel Taylor and Colonel Baker, Chief Holden will please come forward. To accomplish this at this time, the audience may remain seated. First, I will read the citation, and then we will affix the streamer to the flag. Citation to accompany the award of the Air Force Outstanding Unit Award to the 1836 Engineering Installation Group. The 1836 distinguished itself by exceptionally meritorious service from 1 July 1990 to 30 June 1991. During this period, the group clearly demonstrated its peacetime and wartime capabilities by providing enhanced communication systems to senior leaders through the Air Force Secure 4-star conferencing system, the hardline cable distribution system, the relocation of the Defense Communications Agency Europe's Area Communications Operations Center, while still supporting critical command and control communication system for the Allied coalition's combat commanders in the Persian Gulf. The distinctive accomplishments of the 1836 reflect great credit upon itself and the United States Air Force. Finally, we pay tribute to Lieutenant Colonel David W. Baker, Jr., as he relinquishes command of the 1836 Engineering Installation Group, and to the group itself, represented by the flag which has proudly served as its banner. Relinquishing command and retiring the group's flag is a military ceremony deeply rooted in history and tradition dating back to the time of Frederick the Great of Prussia. In that period, military organizations developed flags with unique and specialized colors and designs. When the soldiers followed their leaders into battle, they kept sight of their flag. If the banner still waved after the conflict, it was a sign that their side had not tasted defeat on the field of battle. Today's ceremony is principally symbolic, yet it still announces to all the climax of this group and the retirement of its flag in the finest of military traditions. Now let me tell you about Colonel Baker. He was born in Greenfield, Massachusetts, and will soon be returning to Hanscom Field next Tuesday. He's a career communicator. He's been to Laredo Air Force Base as a radar approach control crew chief, and subsequent to that, Thailand as a chief radar approach controller. He's been to Lindsey twice, 1974 to 77, and this trip since August of 89. Worked at the headquarters European Communications Area, worked in the Base Communications Unit, was a deputy, the 1836 Engineering Installation Group, and he took command of the group last year on the 3rd of July. He's also had service with the NSA, Electronic Security Command. He was a commander at Belbasi Seismic Research Station, Ankara, Turkey, and he held several positions at Patrick Air Force Base with Air Force Technical Applications Center as the IG. Later, he coordinated AFTAC support of the U.S. Atomic Energy Detection System. And finally, he was the Director of Logistics for the 2nd Combat Communications Group. He's married to the former Jean Goodale of Coleraine, Massachusetts, and they have 2 children, and they're also all here today enjoying the ceremony. We have received messages of support from both military and civilian leaders. They have spoken of our mission achievements, increased productivity, and meaningful contributions. Our members have read and reread these fine words. We are both honored and humbled by this recognition. Naturally, we share credit with many others for our recognition. Our achievements have only been possible because of teamwork and a can-do-better attitude. Thanks are also due to our friends and allies in our host community. All of you have helped us meet and exceed our goals. Our unit is proud to have played a role in redrawing the map of Europe. As a team, we look forward to the future. Attention to orders. Special Order G09, dated 23 March 1992, inactivates the 1836 Engineering Installation Group at Lindsey Air Station, effective 1 July.
Sir, I relinquish command.
This time we're going to move to the encasement ceremony. Detail, present, arms.
Sir, flag of the 1836 Engineering Installation Group is engaged.
I accept the flag.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time it brings me great pleasure to introduce the Vice Commander of the Communications Systems Center, Colonel Woodrow M. Taylor.
Ladies and gentlemen, Colonel Waddell, my old boss at the Pentagon, Colonel Key, two former commanders of one of the finest E&I units, groups in the world, and there's no doubt about it, Colonel Campbell and Colonel Ryman, and ladies and gentlemen, it's not a great satisfaction of mine to encase the banner of this unit, but yet it's hell when you win the Cold War. And today we see in this simple ceremony results of the efforts of men and women who have served for 34 years in this organization. From the 2874th GS Squadron, and I know from talking to primarily some of our German friends that they are some of those here who remember in 1958 when that organization came into being. And Chief Daly was on duty a long time, but this unit had been performing 3 years when he came in the Air Force, to give you an idea of how long it's been around. To say it's been around is putting it mildly. As I look down through their accomplishments, and they're listed on the front page of your program there, they have touched every installation, base, station, group in Europe. Some in the Army, in DOD. The 1836 Road Warriors have made a difference. They've had some great leaders over that time. But what made the difference was the real road warriors, the installers that got out there and got the job done. I was over at Simbach last Thursday. I walked up, and next to a sewer plant in a pit about 8 feet deep, with mud about 18 inches up, no, about 12 inches up his boot, was standing a young inch taller. And I said, "How you doing, Sarge?" He says, "Great." And I thought to myself, an attitude like that is representative of the men and women who have served in this unit for the last 34 years. It's been a great unit. It's been a great unit. DEP 1 of the 485th Engineering and our installation group, I am quite sure will carry on that tradition. The 1836 Road Warriors have served in this theater, and they've served it well. And representing Colonel Einsbar and General Fairfield and men and women across the U.S. Air Force today, I say thanks to you, the 1836. Thank you.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, the final commander of the 1836 Engineering Installation Group, Lieutenant Colonel David W. Baker, Jr.
Wow, thank you all for coming today. Before I start my formal words, I do want to say how very proud I am of the people that received awards today. It reflects, and by the way, these are not the only awards we've gotten recently. There's been many more, but these are very indicative that these folks, right up to the end, even though we've known for the last 10 months or so that we were going to be deactivating today, were still performing in such an outstanding manner that they were recognized as the best of the best. And the competition is tough. And I'm glad and proud of these folks that are winners right up to the end. Again, I'm going to primarily read these remarks. I'm not adequately composed today to ad-lib, but Colonel Taylor, Colonel Waddell, Colonel Kotzen, Colonel Reinman, and Colonel Gamble, and Colonel Key, other distinguished guests, friends, and most especially 1836 E&I Road Warriors. Thank you for joining us today. This is a tough day for me as I relinquish command, say goodbye to many friends and colleagues who have meant the world to me, and, most sadly, close the 1836. The 1836 and its predecessors implemented many thousands of aircraft control and communication systems that made the difference in the warfighting capability and readiness of the United States Air Forces in Europe, the U.S. European Command, and to some extent NATO. Indeed, the Road Warriors did super quality work from the Arctic Circle in Norway to the sands of Saudi Arabia, from the peak of the Zugspitze to the deepest cable vault under the Ost, from the 800-foot Hotham Tower to the muddy 8-foot hardline cable trenches at Bitburg, and indeed in all media from DC to Light. And they did it all with professional quality. They can be very proud of their accomplishments, and I'm proud and humbly proud to be a part of that. Lest anyone feel that the installers get all the credit, I hasten to point out that the cooperative efforts of many people and units were vital to our successes. These include the 1836 and 485th EIG engineers, whose superb designs led the way to excellence, quality assurance evaluators and trainers who led the charge to superb workmanship, supply personnel who kept us equipped, transporters who got us and our equipment to the job, information managers who handled mountains of paperwork and hundreds of publications, resource advisors who kept me and my predecessors, two of whom are here today, in funds and out of trouble, safety people who kept us safe despite dangerous jobs, personnel specialists, my first sergeant, squadron section commander, my deputy commander, and my secretary Lynn. Could not have done it without them. And also must say, we cannot forget the countless contributions of our non-U.S. personnel, many of whom have devoted entire careers to the 1836 and its predecessors. They hail from Germany, Turkey, Belgium, Switzerland, Iran, England, Ireland, Italy, Ecuador, and the Philippines. Truly an international cadre of superstars united by a heritage of high-quality work. It makes me very proud that they were on my team. Many of you weren't fortunate enough to be road warriors. Nonetheless, you still played a big role in our success stories. You and the units that you represent kept us healthy, kept our vehicles maintained, kept us supplied, processed the thousands of travel vouchers and our TDY intensive business generated, provided superb sports and recreation opportunities, fed us well when we were home at Lindsey, and many thousands of more things that you did, and you did it all in first-class style. Lindsey was truly a great place for us to be. In my exit interviews with all of my people that leave, not one has ever said that they were glad to be getting out of Lindsey, and that's a tribute to the excellence of the 7100th Combat Support Wing and all of the other support squadrons and agencies. Your support was great. We're proud to have been a part of this fine community. Let us not cherry on the past. The Cold War is won, the Warsaw Pact is gone, we can relax a little bit and draw down our presence in Europe, and part of that drawdown is the closure of this group and soon many of the rest of the units that you represent, and indeed next year Lindsey Air Station itself. So although this is a sad day, there is good news behind it. Now, there's still much engineering and installation work to be done in Europe, and in light of that, tomorrow, a new detachment of the 485th Engineering Installation Group under Major Mike Parson will arise tomorrow down at, actually the ceremony will be at Ramstein. The detachment will be located in Zweibrücken. And they will be supporting CONUS E&I units and continuing our work. They'll be building the command and control that will take you safely into the future, no matter what that future might bring. I wish them success, and I wish them the same fine support that we've had. Again, it's been great. Thank you all. Goodbye. Auf Wiedersehen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the retiring of the colors. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like we lost our color guard. So I will say, dismissed. Please join us. In the back, we have a small reception. Say hello to everybody. Say goodbye one more time.